Hi. I have a GE Monogram side by side that has the ceiling LED lights out all of a sudden. I have removed the clear plastic panel in the ceiling and see only what looks like a circuit board, no LEDs. I need some help.
Hello, my name is XXXXX. You for choosing our service. Are you with the refrigerator now? Look in the fresh foods section up near the top for model/serial sticker and post the model number. I need the model to be able to see the diagrams. Thanks, Barry.
Barry, for some reason the model number is XXXXX there. I actually had a service technician out for a different reason a few weeks ago and he struggled to find the serial number. In the end it was behind the compressor or someplace like that. So, while I don't have a serial number, I can say that my fridge looks exactly like the one in this posting you replied to, http://www.justanswer.com/appliance/89C9L LED light ceiling GE Monogram 48 built-in.html.
Greg, does your panel that you are seeing there have screws in it? And if you remove those screws to lower the circuit board, you should see a wire connector, and the wire color should be red and black if I remember correctly. Is that what you see on yours? If you have steady voltage there and it is dropping off on the red and black wires to 0 voltage, that board is bad.
Some interesting results. I pull the board out, it does have the red and black wires. These are connected to a white plastic connector that has orange and blue wires, that match red/black on the other side the connector. At the orange/blue side of the connector, I get 36V. If I connect the plastic plug then measure at the red/black, I get voltage in the 20s that decreases upon testing down to 0. Also, while testing it, the column lights seem to go off all of the sudden.
I would say that board is good and that the supply is bad. Let me find the supply, it will take me a bit of time. Greg, please be patient. Thanks, Barry.
Will do. Standing by. Barry, an update. While the LED ceiling lights still don't work, the rest of the fridge lights came back on. I would guess they timed out with the door open. So just wanted you to know I only have my one initial problem of the ceiling LED lights.
Greg, I was just getting ready to ask that question. Okay, let me look again. I understand why the larger lights are going out. There is a heat sensor that turns them off. LEDs are a different problem. Very. At the top, very carefully remove the cover in the image below. You may even want to kick the breaker off at the breaker panel because that area is hot. There are 2 circuit boards in that panel. The smaller one, can you tell me the wire colors on that board? Also, if you could, would it be possible to take a picture of that area after the cover is removed and upload it? Take your time, please, thanks. Barry, click to enlarge Barry G.41694.845540787.
Barry, where specifically are you referring to when you say at the very top? Are you talking about the very top of the fridge, where there is the logo and the panel flips out forward? Are you talking about inside the fridge at the top of the column lights?
Outside at the top behind the louvered panel. Barry.
Barry, here is what I see behind the panel. I was not clear from you picture what you wanted me to remove. Can you give me more details?
Inside of the panel there where the on/off switches are. Barry.
Okay. So you want me to remove the panel with the on/off switches and the wires you are asking about are there, or is there a second panel to remove?
Yes, that is the panel.
Here is what I see behind the panel.
Thank you. Let me look at the wiring diagram and trace that out. You can put it back together now and turn it on. Thanks, Barry. I never knew there were so many lighting setups in one style of refrigerator. On that small board I have arrowed in the picture, the output is red and black. That is where you will find the voltage drop. The input wires voltage, which are blue, is not given. I would start testing those wires at 120 volts AC and see if there is steady voltage there. If you have steady voltage there and it is dropping off on the red and black wires to 0 voltage, that board is bad. In the case the voltage does drop on the input wires, which are the blue wires, trace that blue wire to the transformer. I do not see the transformer in the image other than the one that is on the main control board, which is the larger board in the image. According to the wiring diagram I have here, that is not the transformer that supplies the power to that small board, but is a separate transformer, and that will be the bad part if the voltage drops as you perform the same test you did before when the voltage dropped at the LED connector, the first measurement you made. That is how to tell the difference in which to replace. If the voltage drops at the blue wires, replace the transformer. If it does not, replace that small board. If you have questions about my answer, please click the reply to link. I will be happy to explain anything that is not clear. Please do not forget to leave a rating. If you have a problem leaving a rating, please let me know. Thanks, Barry. Click to enlarge.
Barry, here is what I found. 1. The blue wires have about 3 VAC on them. 2. The red/black have no DC voltage on them. I tried to trace the blue wires back to the transformer, but they lead into the very back of the top of the fridge and I can't see where they terminate. Also, in rechecking the voltages at the ceiling of the fridge, on that circuit board, I realized my meter was reading in MV. So when I said 36 volts at the orange/blue wires, it was really 36 millivolts, which I assume is too low. One other question, is the circuit at the ceiling of the fridge where the LEDs are mounted. Without them on, it is hard for me to tell. I see about 6 or so components labeled Z2, Z3, etc. Are these actually LEDs?
Greg, I believe what you are seeing are the LEDs. They are small and easy miss. The circuit board is only drawn as a block on the diagram and the individual components are not there unlabeled, but I believe you are correct in thinking those are the lights. Before, when the lights came on, it was not these lights that lit. Barry.
Funny you ask, Barry. To be honest, I wasn't even sure we had ceiling lights. I just noticed that the fridge was a lot darker up top, then realized it was the LED lights. So I never actually paid attention to them, but I do think what I described are the lights. So, is your conclusion that the lights are not getting power because the power to the Lulu board above the fridge, behind the slatted door, is not getting power? If so, I have no real way to fix it as I can't really see the transformer. The wire harness goes to the back of the fridge and then down somewhere. What do you suggest I do?
Yes, that board should have power going into it, and the output to the lights should be 25 to 30 volts DC coming from that board. Let me see what information I can find about the transformer location. I was already looking, I just have not located it yet. I will let you know as soon as I can. I just cannot believe how spread GE has the documentation for this unit. It is not nearly all in one neat file like I would have expected. I will reply as soon as I can. Very. Remove the panel under the bottom, locate the tray attached to the floor. Arrowed red are fuses. I believe you will find one is blown. You can ohm it with your meter to double check. Thanks, Very. Click to enlarge.
I found the fuses. There are 3, it appears. The center one is a 3A 250 volts barrel glass fuse. It is intact and tests fine. The other 2 on the left and right edges are 2A fuses. I am not sure how they open or come out and didn't want to break them. I have attached 2 pictures. The first shows all 3 fuses, the second a close-up of the outer left fuse, which is identical to the outer right. Let me know how to open these and I'll check continuity on both of them also.
I believe those are resettable, Greg. Let me double check though. Very. Those are resettable on each side, they trip like breakers. That leaves nothing but the transformer in that box. The one that has no power output will be the bad one. Very.
Barry, which transformer specifically are you referring to? I saw one on the big board above the fridge, but you mentioned that was not the one. Also, just to be sure, those resettable breakers are set, I pushed on each of them, but it was not clear to me what they look like when they switch off versus are reset.
When I saw the switches between going back and forth from the wiring diagram to the parts diagrams, I mistook those for breakers, which they are not. Those are master light switches. You are right, I made a mistake. You have 2 door light switches. Remove the one that does not turn off and on lights in the fresh food section. There, according to the wiring diagram, are 2. Use a putty knife to remove it and test the wire connections to ground. I would set the meter high if it has that setting. It appears to be 120 volts AC. Very.
Just want to be sure I understand you correctly. We are still talking about the 2 black switches under the fridge on either side of the barrel glass 3A 250 volts fuse, not the ones above the fridge behind the louvers. I ask, since there are 2 light switches under the louvered panel as well. And if this is true, it was not clear to me how to switch these off. They sort of rock, but they didn't really set in any one position. I ask so I can toggle them off to be sure I have the correct one to test.
Know the door light switches that move in and out when you open the door. Use a putty knife after you have identified which does not turn lights off and on. Turn off the power and work it from side to side until it comes out. Then turn the power on and test. The lock is on the blue arrowed side. Thanks, Barry. Click to enlarge.
Barry, I was unable to actually remove the switch. The lock mechanism is slightly different than you showed and release from the top only. In the end, I had to remove a cover that sits over the switches to access them. Both switches read almost no voltage, although the one that controls the column lights was still working to turn them on and off, so I am puzzled. Clearly current is flowing and the switch is working, but even the working switch showed little voltage. I pried the connectors back so I could probe the flange they slide onto, and even with the column light switch working, I read no significant voltage AC or DC. Also, in the process, the switch that doesn't do anything now, the one for the LEDs, got cracked along part of the plastic. Nothing operational, but I'll probably need to replace it. So if, in the course of looking at the manuals, you have that part number, I'd appreciate it. What can I do next?
Greg, there should be 120 volts on those. Are you testing from the wires to a frame ground? The switch part number is XXXXX linked below. Click here for the light switch. Very.
I was testing across both leads of the switch. Should I instead put my black lead to frame ground then my red to one side of the switch? Does it matter which side I choose?
Yes, that is how to do it. Black lead to a clean shiny frame ground. Rotate through both wires on each switch. Very.
Okay. So tested 125 volts AC across both switches, both leads of each switch.
Okay, both are good. Go back to the smaller board. Test that the same way where the blue wires go in. Do you get the same reading there? Very G.41695.8055304861.
The blue wires both measured 6 volts AC, the black and white outputs on the other end of the board measured next to nothing. This is the smaller board above the refrigerator under the top grill.
Correct, thank you Greg for that double check. I wanted to be sure. That switch inside of the door frame which has power does provide the power to the switch under the refrigerator on the right when the door is open. Then the power goes from the transformer to the fuse in one of those switches. The switch on the right and all of that is in that box attached to the bottom of the floor. It is all inside. That is where the problem lies. Either the switch is bad, there is a loose wire in that box, or the transformer in that box is bad. I cannot see a loose wire or a switch that never gets used as going bad or coming loose. But look for it. That leaves only the transformer as the bad part. If the diagram is drawn correctly, the transformer in that box will be on the right if you are facing the front. There are two of them, the other is for the freezer. I recommend turning off the power before removing that box. Then get it in a safe position to check. There should be power into the transformer with the door open, and there should be power out of the transformer with the door open. 120 volts AC, and let me know when you can. I do realize this is in a tough place to get to. Thanks, Barry.
Barry, I'm sorry but I am having a bit of trouble following each area of the fridge you are referring to and how the wiring goes.
The box you sent the pictures of below is where the transformer and switches are. All that is left is the transformer in the box, and the switch on the right as being the bad part. One or the other is bad. Click to enlarge equals 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 equals. Either the switch is bad, there's a loose wire in that box, or the transformer in that box is bad. I cannot see a loose wire or a switch that never gets used as going bad or coming loose. But look for it. That leaves only the transformer as the bad part. If the diagram is drawn correctly, the transformer in that box will be on the right if you are facing the front. There are two of them, the other is for the freezer. I recommend turning off the power before removing that box. Then get it in a safe position to check. There should be power into the transformer with the door open, and there should be power out of the transformer with the door open. 120 volts AC, and let me know when you can. I do realize this is in a tough place to get to. Thanks, Barry G.41695.92498400509.
Okay. I understand. So what voltage should be coming from the blue wires atop the fridge into the small board, and what voltage should be coming out of that little board? Also, I'm not sure how the below are wired together. 1. The little board atop the fridge. 2. The bottom switches you showed in the picture. 3. The door switches I tested. 4. The ceiling board with the LEDs. I think I'm making this harder for you than I should because I don't know how these are all connected.
Oh, it's not you, it's the diagrams are not in one place. That is what made it hard. First, the power comes to the door switch you just tested and have power at. Then it goes to the small rocker switch under the refrigerator. After that it goes to the transformer, and I believe there are two in that box in the image above underneath the fridge, if the diagram is drawn correctly, the transformer on the right side of that box. Then from the transformer there is a change from 120 volts AC to 25 to 30 volts DC. After the transformer it goes to the fuse in the center of the box. After the fuse the power goes to the small board at the top of the refrigerator in at the blue wires. Out of the board at the red and black wires, same DC voltage 25 to 30 volts. Then lastly from that small board to the LED lighting board inside of the fresh food section. When I first did this I did not realize that the documents were going to be scattered all over. I thought I would go to GE and get the proper service manual which would have all of the diagrams and images that would be needed for the one model. I have been working with GE products a long time. This is the first time I have ever seen it all not be in one service document for the model. On top of that, the service document that is given for the model has a standard lighting setup in it, and that is all that is covered throughout the entire thing. It is not mentioned anywhere that for LED lighted models you need wiring diagram XXXXX. That is what made it hard. And me trying to explain it was really making no sense because it never dawned on me that it would not be documented in that manual. Barry G.41695.94594049777.
Very, very helpful. Now I know what I am looking at. So just to check my logic, the little board atop the fridge, those blue wires should be carrying 25 VDC, rather than the 3V I measured. So the problem would have to be in the box under the fridge. I get it. I'll try to trace it and see what I can find. Are the transformers under the fridge accessible from the front if I remove screws?
Yes, that is correct. The blue wires should have between 25 and 30 volts DC. Yes, the problem has been narrowed to the box under the refrigerator. Yes, you should be able to pull those out from the front. Greg, I intend to be here for about 4 hours more today or longer if I can. You all and give me a shout. Barry.
Barry, I removed the screws and dropped the box down under the fridge, but it is nearly impossible for me to see into the box to test anything. It is unclear to me if I can actually pull the box out from under the fridge. It resisted my attempts to gently move it out. The transformer sits in the way along with some cables coming into the back. I was wary to muscle it out for fear of not being able to get it back in place.
Those cables are supposed to be long enough to pull out. Something is hung up under there somewhere. I would not force it, but I would look and see what has it caught. Very.
I was able to swing the box around about 90 degrees, but the transformer, which is mounted to the fridge directly, prevents the box from moving out enough to test the components. At this point, I'm stuck, so I think I will need to just close this ticket and get someone out.
I understand, no need making things worse. You have a good night and thank you for the opportunity. Thanks again, Very.
How can I close this so I can pay and rate your service, which has been excellent by the way?
There should be a screen that pops up, Greg, that gives 5 choices. If you do not see it, that is okay, you have typed it, which also works, and thank you. Look, you have 30 days to follow up, so if you or if your tech has a question or a problem along the way, give me a shout. I will do the best I can to help. These 2 days, and I may have already said I am expecting to be away for most of these days. The 28th of this month and the 6th of next month. I will be around late, I think. Any day but those 2 you can reach me fairly quick. Thanks, Barry.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/YTHI.